what's my dosha?
Your dosha. Well, I don't know just from looking at you, but you were traveling today. So I would guess you probably have a little bit of Vata going on. But since I know you, I know that you probably have the ability to tolerate a fair amount of Vata without your Vata getting out of balance.
Yes, correct.
So,
affirmative.
Then I would probably go with what I know about you, which is Pitta Kapha, and work with that.
Cool.
And as we're going into summer, I'm probably like keeping your Pitta in balance. When they hear the word dosha, they think that it means tell me who I am. Tell me
they think
my
like
imbalances.
It's stable for like the rest of your life, right? But you're saying it's changing.
So dosha, actually, the word dosha means that which can go out of balance.
Okay.
That word dosha. And you have all the doshas in your body. They're humors of the body, and they're going up and down in response to different things, climate, environment, your diet, things that your body essentially comes in contact with, in addition to kind of more subtle energetic things. And that shift is what's changing in you, but you have a nature where you operate most optimally, and then as the environment's shifting around you, what you take into your body changes, as the seasons change, that shifts the way that the doshas are positioned in your body, and in a way that is either helpful or harmful to you.
Okay.
Yeah. I think everyone figures it out in different ways as a practitioner, but there's, say 10 different ways you can figure it out, and a lot of it has to do with questioning and observing through your senses. Questioning how the body's functioning, how the basic physiology is working, how the sleep is going, condition of the skin, things like that. And then you kind of put a picture together of how energy is moving through the body. Or energy that's very dispersed and not concentrated is Vata energy.
Okay.
So, and it's kind of intangible energy. It's hard to touch. Vata people are kind of hard to get.
Okay.
And they're like more outside the box kind of people. And they're more creative when they get their shit together. But their energy is more of a dispersing energy, and therefore it doesn't feel as concentrated as like Pitta, for example, because Pitta is very sharp and direct. So they're just harder to get, Vata, and they can be either very thin or just have a lot of odd things compared to other people.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like more odd.
Okay.
They're not what people are used to. Foods that are good for Vata. Vata's a little tricky because Vata might not have the biggest appetite, because you need liquid in your body and enzymes in order to salivate and to feel hungry. And Vata tends to be a more dry body. And so Vata people may not get as hungry as other people unless they have super strong Agni, which is a separate thing. But foods for them are going to be really sweet, salty, not bitter, not astringent, not pungent. Definitely not that. So sweet, salty, sour are really good foods. Things that get you salivating.
Yeah, like
Pitta foods are generally if you hear of the bland diet that people eat if they have ulcers, you've heard of like a bland diet, that's a very good diet for Pitta. Bland, not salty, not spicy, just a little bit of sweetness, very neutral, because Pitta is like really high desire comes with that, and like salt increases that, or spice increases that. So Pitta needs like cooling and sweet and very neutral flavors to keep that fire in check. But Pitta people need to eat a lot, typically the most of all the people, because they're burning so much. It's like if you have a fire burning, you need to throw a log on it. So Pitta people typically need the most food.
Are they typically thin?
They're the middle. Pitta
Okay.
people are typically in the middle. And they can also be Pitta people that end up getting super overweight when there's certain kinds of imbalances, because they will become ravenous, and take it all. Kapha wants something intense and light, because Kapha can be very dense and build tissues very easily. So you need to give pepper, you need to give If you're going to give kapha grains, a grain that's light, that's not heavy and dense, like popcorn is a good grain for kapha, and it sucks up some of the moisture because kapha can be a little bit watery compared to some of the other doshas. So like popcorn is a really good one for kapha. Black pepper is really good for kapha. The tastes you want to avoid are sweet, salty, and sour. And you want to favor bitter, pungent, and astringent with kapha. A good thing for kapha is to just eat a little less frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Actually space the meals out more, because a kapha body, kaphas are very calm. They don't burn or require as much, and their cells probably don't even die as quickly. They kind of hang around. They don't turn over as quickly. So you don't need to replace as rapidly as other people. So when you have that with kapha, you do everything slower, and that means even like eating less frequently. And so a good thing to eat would be something light, nuts, not sweet, like a salad. And if you're going to have a salad, have tons of black pepper on it, not a creamy, heavy dressing, but like maybe a vinegar or something that helps you process it, but that feels light and lifted and not super dense. Like nuts are really bad for kapha. Kapha is just going to get a very little bit of cheese, because it's got this more density to it, right? So it's not going to get a ton of cheese. And so the pasta itself, we're going to be using linguine, which is a little bit more of a dense, heavy pasta. It's going to absorb a lot of water, as opposed to something like angel hair or capellini, but I made this one because my 2-year-old son really likes this one, so we're all having this one.
Yeah.
But if I was going to make a true spring pasta, it would have been more capellini, or it would have been even a buckwheat pasta, because buckwheat is very light and not as dense. They love Indian food, they love Indian culture, they love yoga. This is oftentimes the profile of those of us who get drawn to Ayurveda.
Yeah.
And then there comes a point where you realize, wait, but I'm not Indian, and I grew up on other things, and I live in America, and I need to figure out, like, how do I apply the principles to the things that are part of my culture,
food,
you know? And that's really what I do now, is I don't really like cook a lot of Indian food, even though I was taught about how to cook Ayurvedically with Indian food. But like, you know, for me, I grew up on Italian food. I grew up in an Italian American town. So I like to figure out, how does this work Ayurvedically? When we do these Ayurvedic cleanses, it's very common to drink large quantities of ghee before you go into your cleansing period to lubricate all the channels of your body. So this is ghee, and otherwise known as clarified butter. And it's basically butter that has been put on a low boil, and as it goes on this low boil, all the milk solids rise up to the top and you skim them off. So it's all the proteins and solid particles that are in that butter substance. And then you skim those off. What you're left with is this like gold oil. And it literally, once it's, because it has it's in a solid state at higher temperatures than other oils. But if we just heated it up a little bit, it would look watery like olive oil. It's that same type of oil consistency, just at a higher temperature, so it can withstand more heat than olive oil can, or some other types of cooking oil. I did this because everybody gets into, you know, that bulletproof coffee.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, sometimes. I mean,
so
not
I was like,
all the time,
people
but,
like ghee in their coffee, and there's actually medicinal benefit to doing that when you drink coffee.
I do coconut oil. I don't put ghee, but
either
any
way,
kind
of oil is good in the coffee, you know, because the coffee really does dry the colon out. So in spring, you're going to focus more on what's being delivered in that season. So the vegetables that you're going to see are more like broccoli and asparagus, kale, and these are bitter. So you want to look for bitter in the spring. I first became a vegetarian not by choice. I was a huge meat eater, and I went away to yoga teacher training, and it was all vegetarian. I was in Costa Rica for a month in the jungle, and I was like, I can't not eat meat for a month, and I brought beef jerky with me, snuck it in, and the whole month I was there, I ate vegetarian meals. And then when I came back, I just did not want meat anymore. I was really resistant to the idea of doing that, and then I ended up liking it, and I just really did not want it. It just grossed me out to have meat. So one of the really amazing things about being a vegetarian, I saw Michael Pollan speak once in Berkeley, and he wrote the book Omnivore's Dilemma. He's written a lot of really cool books actually about food, and
he shared this idea, or it was either him or this other farmer named Joel Salatin who spoke at the same thing. One of them shared something about, okay, when you're eating plants, you're eating what's closer to the source of the solar energy. Is because the plants are sucking up the solar energy and the animals are eating the plants, but you're getting the solar energy into the life force, into the ecosystem through the plants.
Like the nutrients directly from without
the source.
Yeah.
And that really inspired me to get that direct connection. Meat is used in Ayurveda as a medicine for a degenerating body to replace the tissues. That's how meat is used as
Wow,
medicine.
I didn't know that.
So if your body's not degenerating, you probably don't need really much of that. Olive and garlic and a little bit of olive oil.